Hey everybody, it's Mary. Welcome back to the channel. I am doing another design team project for Not Too Shabby, and here's your coupon code, Mary10 for 10% off your order over at the shop. So for today's project, I am going to be living vicariously through my cards as I love nail polish and do not use it enough. I just don't make the time for it. I also have been in a medical career field for a very long time, not currently, but I was, and so we couldn't use, get my nails all fancified. So now I actually can do this. So this card got me in the mood to put on some fancy stuff. But okay, let's get started here. I'm going to be using this Simple Circle Creator. This is by Katya Kalinine, and she created this Simple Circle Creator to help us with getting multiple uses from one product. And I really love this. So I have a full review video that I'll link below that I've done on this creator, but I wanted to show you here today. I'm going to be using the 4 1/4 square, but there are 6 sizes in here, and she could also customize it to make it for A2 size cards. So this one I'm using is the mini one, and this fits in a regular size MISTI as well as this Tim Holtz Stampin' Platform, the travel size. So I have a very large one that I have for my large Tim Holtz platform, and then I have this mini one. So I am going to stamp out my nail polish bottle, and then I'm going to mask it, and I'm just going to shift around my octagon. The great thing about this product is you shift the octagon, and so and then because of the way that it is formatted, you get so many options for just this one. So I really love this. I love when we see an idea and then we customize it for ourselves and we build upon that, because really, if you think about it, I mean, if no one ever did that, we wouldn't have what we have today, right? We'd still be rolling around in horse and buggy if we didn't build upon what we see. So I love the concept, I love the idea, and I love supporting fellow crafters. So the complicated aspect to this part of the card is purely self-inflicted, because I am masking off my nail polish bottles. If you don't have these so close together, then you don't need to mask anything. You just continue to pull out your octagon and turn it around, and then you get that circle building aspect to your card. So, but I really liked the way that these just kept falling behind one another, almost like a fanned out look. And so I just kept with it, and I decided to just go keep at it, basically. So I'm going through, and I had to change out my my mask, because I felt like it was getting a little too inky for some reason. I'm not sure why the ink was bleeding through that, but I'll have to look into that. I was using VersaFine Clair Nocturne because this is watercolor cardstock, and I'm going to be doing some watercoloring. Today, I am going to be trying to watercolor with my Arteza Real Brush markers on watercolor cardstock, which, if you know me, this is new for me, because I absolutely have not done this. I could not get my Artezas to move on watercolor paper, but I recently watched a video where Kelly Latavola used the Zigs and Artezas to watercolor. Now, she did it a little differently. I believe she used an acrylic block, which I did in a off video project. I did not record it, but I will. And I loved it. So I am working at it, I'm trying. This is where I put the Artezas directly onto the cardstock and then pull it out with the water brush. And I was really impressed that I was able to move it fairly decently. So you can watch as I'm doing that. I felt like that water brush was able to pull out really nicely. I do use a water brush when I am using my Artezas straight to the paper, but I use a paintbrush when I'm dipping the watercolor. So if I put the watercolor from the Zigs or the Artezas onto an acrylic block, or if I'm using traditional watercolors from a palette, I'll usually use a paintbrush. There's no rhyme or reason for that, I guess just my comfort level, but you got to figure out what is going to keep you coloring. So what is best for you? What's easiest for you? That's basically my best advice when it comes to any kind of medium. Also, if you are intimidated by watercoloring, I don't blame you. You probably should be, because I am too. But I'm working at it and I'm trying my very best. If you follow me on Instagram, I'll post over there a couple times. Recently I've posted a few pictures of some projects I've been working on. I don't record absolutely everything because the other day I was sitting on the couch just coloring away and I had so much fun doing it. And so I was comfortable over there and of course I didn't have my camera set up, so it is what it is. So I'll just share that on Instagram. So follow me over there if you don't. Also Facebook. Sorry, I'm going through and I've picked out my rainbow colors. I had to do a rainbow. The fanned out look just screamed rainbow at me, so I went with it. And then for the caps, I'm going to use a black and gray color to get that. I figured that was pretty appropriate. I see most nail polishes with a black and gray or a blackish hue. And then I'm going to go through and use my Nouveau Sparkle Pen, which really came out beautifully. And I thought, you know, you just have to have some glitter on these nail polish bottles. They're so pretty. And then I wanted to show you close up what that glitter looks like, because that Nouveau Sparkle Pen is really great. I actually think all of the sparkle pens I have are great, because I have the Spectrum Noir, the Wink Estella, the Nuvo. Obviously I have an issue. Which one don't I have? Go ahead and comment below and then I'll pick it up. I am putting some Nuvo glaze on the bottles because you just have to. I mean, they're nail polish bottles. They're going to be shiny. They're going to be glass. And so why not replicate? If you don't have Nuvo glaze, but you have a white Ranger, no, not Ranger, NYX on the Ranger, as I was, the Uniball Signo gel pen, the white one. That's my favorite gel pen to use. But I also know there's a couple other good ones. I didn't have any luck with the Ranger. But anyway, if you have a gel pen and you want to put some highlights that way, you certainly can. And that will definitely work. Okay, I was using my magnetic mat. So I put down my magnets and left this overnight so that it laid flat and it dried nicely. Next day, coming in here, I have to tell you, I had a little bit of issues with the sentiment on this card. And I'll tell you at the end how I would have done it differently. But I took a stamp from a coffee set that I have from Hero Arts, and it said life begins after coffee, but I mapped and I just put life begins after, and then I am going to at the bottom use my Concord in 9th. I'm sorry, I'm laughing at myself because I was in a hotel room during this video and I had no acrylic blocks, so I had to improvise, and I found this clear lid to a sequence I was holding. And I thought, well, that's just about perfect. But anyway, I used my Concord in 9th alphabet set, and I put spa day at the bottom. So I said life begins after spa day. But I didn't like the spacing on that. So what I would do differently, had I had all my tools, but I didn't because I was away on a work trip, I would have stamped this out on black cardstock and white heat embossed it and put the spa day. This way, if I made any goofs like I just did right there with the Y, and I got a big, huge glob of black ink go down the center there, I tried to remove it with my Tombow Mono eraser, and it didn't work. So I was like, oh. So I cover it up with a jewel later. But anyway, that's how I would have done it differently, is I would have done white emboss on black cardstock. So I'm going to go around real quick with some light purple and just cover up a little bit of that, or not cover up, but just kind of bring in that soft color on the edges so it wasn't so stark white. And then I'm putting this down on my card base, but I am going to trim this down to make it a square card. And here I'm just trying to figure out placing for these Your Next Step stamp gumdrops, because I made that big huge boo-boo right in the center there. And so I think I'm going to go back and fix that later, but you won't see it on the video, so I'll do it another time. But I cut down this card, and now here I have a 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 square card. And I do love the way this came out. The nail polish fanned out circle is just so much fun. Okay, so I'm going to go on to my second card here, which is going to be using a masked look. So I have my first two that I'm going to stamp out. Now remember about masking is we are going to put what we want in the front down first. So those are the two that I want to lay out in the front. Then I'm going to stamp them on some masking paper, and then we are going to cut them out, fussy cut them, and lay them down, because that's what masking is all about. And I continue to do this for this card throughout. So I stamp then stamp on masking paper, cut them out, and then mask. So you guys have probably seen masking before. This is nothing new. But you want to try to figure out how you're going to do your layout prior to actually starting anything, because that's where you don't want to make a masking mistake necessarily, because it's really hard to fix a masking mistake on a card. So if you did it the opposite way, it's kind of going to look wonky. Ask me how I know this, because I have learned. So, okay, so you could see me doing this, and I'm going to move on to the next three. We have our little cotton ball holder, and we have, I'm using a lot of the nail polish bottles, I think, if not all of them from the set, which I think is great because there's so many variety, there's so much variety in the nail polish. You have different caps and different sizes, shapes, so I thought that was a lot of fun. Okay, so I'm continuing to stamp out here, and then once I get that pretty much the way I like it, I'm going to go through and cover up these three items. I don't bother with the fourth one on the left, so I'm just going to cover these three. Again, we're going to put down some more bottles, and I'm just going to fill up this scene because I just think it's a lot of fun to do. You can make your scene as elaborate as you want or as simple as you want. And then, of course, here's the magic of the masking when we get to peel this off and reveal. And so there we go. Now we have our scene here, if you will, of all of our things we're going to color. So I'm going to be doing the same exact coloring as far as the usage, and so I skipped it because this video would be super long if I kept it in. But I colored those up using palettes of purples and pinks. I wanted to kind of keep with the same theme. And reds, rather. And so I'm going to cover those with some Nuvo glitter as well, just to kind of show you how sparkly that is. Love it. I'm pulling in the light here just so you can see it. It's so pretty. And then I am going to put some shading down on the ground. Not on the ground, but to ground it. And I want to heat set that first because I don't want any of those reds to bleed out where I'm trying to put the shading. I'm not an expert at the shading situation, but I am trying. I figured any little shading is better than none because I wanted to make sure it looked like it was kind of sitting on a table of sorts. And so I just went through and kind of put some gray around my images, and that will make it look like they're on something. So, yeah, so I did that. And then lastly, I'm just going to get my sentiment down. So I pulled out this Altenew, it's kind of like a crafter set, which I absolutely love. And it's so great to have in your stash for when you are, sending to fellow crafters. This may or may not go to a fellow crafter, but it says, "My world is more colorful with you in it." I stamped that out in some Distress Oxide and then some clear glitter embossing powder over it, just to add some more of that sparkle fun to it. I'm going to put this down onto a card base, and I used liquid adhesive to do that, so I did put something heavy on it for a few minutes just to make sure that it stuck, and it stuck really well. And then I'm going to trim this down to make this a 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 card also. So once I get that done, we are finished with these two cards. Thank you so much for stopping by, for hanging out with us here for this not too shabby project. Here are some close-ups. This set is an awesome staple to have to send out to all of the wonderful women in your life. This was so much fun to play with. You can head over to the shop and check out all the deals and all the awesome stuff she's got coming in. Also, if you're not already a subscriber to her channel, I would highly recommend that because she will often pop in there and show you the new stuff she has in the shop. So check her out, Not Too Shabby. As always, we love to hear from you, so comment below if you have any questions, and we will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.